pages, feel the thrill. Matt's the host, he's got the skill. Heroes for Hire's the name. Comic joy's our only aim. Weekly mail call can't be beat. Comic reviews, extra sweet. Tune in, folks, and don't be late. Interviews that sure are great. From Kentucky's rolling hills we stream. Matt delivers every fan's dream. Claim your favorites, join the quest. Heroes for Hire are the best. Superheroes, villains too.
Oh, hello. Welcome back again to Heroes for Hire Comic Club channel. I'm your host, Matt. Welcome back to the channel. I was just catching up, reading a little bit about the great Frank Frazetta's art. I mean, you can't beat the Death Dealer, can you? That's pretty cool. Well, as you saw, I hope you liked our new video, our new intro video. It was created by my guest today, who he needs no introduction, but he's going to get one anyway. This man is responsible, and you have him to thank if you don't like me being on here, or if you like me being on here, you have him to thank for it. So it's not my fault. He was one of the inspirations for me to get started. I met him on Whatnot, actually selling comic books to him. And it's the one and only, the Tower of Power. He's too sweet to be sour. He has dined with kings and queens, and he has dined on pork and beans. And he is my guest today for episode 3 of Comic Conversations. It's the Cheap Comic Collector. And let me get you straightened out here, buddy. Can you hear me? Oh, he's reading too. Catching up on some Casper the Friendly Ghost, I see.
I got this in yesterday. It's cool.
Oh,
I like the demons on the cover because it's like, for a Harvey comic, it's like really
yeah.
good.
Looks good.
Hey guys, what's going on? I'm doing good.
I'm trying to figure out.
I had actually had hot dogs and beans for supper, so.
Okay.
I knew that, but
Well, we're having trouble with the chat here. I can't get it to come up for some reason.
Well, I see Missing Mars in there. Pizza Rat and Beck Neptune. He's a comic reader.
It's going to be kind of hard without it. I can't see it. I don't know where it's at.
It's in the middle. There should be like a little red thing there, depending on what you have in the middle.
Oh, I got it. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit behind today. Everybody, I'm sorry about that. Apologies. Okay. Hey, Easy Comic Reader, Missing Mars, how you guys doing? We got Pizza Rat Collects. They said we made some Italian sausage tonight. Well, I had some homemade meatloaf and a baked potato with sour cream and cheese on it.
Nice.
And a salad. I had a spinach salad. So I'm trying to eat a little bit healthier. I got to cut back on the pop though. I got to cut back. But it's going to be kind of hard this week to cut back on the food, ain't it, Rob? Because
definitely. Yeah, now's not a good time to try and diet.
And we'll play our the song again here in a minute. So I kind of want to share that. We'll share it again after the show. Rob was nice enough to make a video for me, and I actually have one to share if we got time before we go. Just a little goofy thing I was messing around with Cap Cut. I mean. Hold on. I messed up. Well, we'll start it over. How do we start it over, do you think?
Just click towards the beginning of it.
There we go. Here we go. I thought, I don't know if he was scared or upset when he saw my picture, but he was not happy, was he? He didn't seem happy to be looking at my ugly mug. So anyway, without further ado, I got my notebook because I'm a hard-hitting journalist. You know what I mean? I'm like Walter Cronkite.
My video would distract you from asking the hard questions.
Oh yeah, well, they're not going to be that hard. It is. I don't know. It could be some Sophie's Choice type questions, though. It'd be like, but
my bright light in my face. There we go.
There you go. Confessions. Cheap Comic Collector. Where were you at on the night of January 5th, 2023? I'm just kidding. Hey,
I do
Cuppy,
that.
what's up, man? We got a couple comics in the house, my friend. Sorry I didn't see it earlier, but you know how it goes. We got Ron Mills, my brother from another mother. How you doing, boy?
Guys,
Good to see you. It's my good friend from Whatnot. And now he's not just, I don't really get on Whatnot that much anymore, but he's still my friend. So I did make there were some positives that come out of being on Whatnot as a seller, and that was one of them. It was basically for the friends. But without any further ado, let's get this started. And we'll take some questions for the chat here in a little bit. Um, Rob, what is your comic book collecting origin story? What got you started?
my brothers. I blame it on my brothers. It's all their fault. Yeah, when I was a kid, they wouldn't share their comics with me. You know, I, I, I one memory I do have is one of my brothers, and I don't remember which one it was. It would have been one of my older brothers. Basically, my mom telling them, to share their comics with me, and I was upset, and them basically saying, no, he's going to rip them up. He's going to take the covers off, whatever. And they were probably right.
Yeah, I did too. I was little.
But and eventually I did get all their comics because they outgrew them, and of course when I did get them, they were all coverless anyway, because they were avid comic readers. They would just reread them over. What ones they had, they would reread to death. They would reread them over and over again. And they had cool ones too. They had like early Power Mans and Amazing Spider-Mans from that same era, Two Gun Kid, Rawhide Kid, Westerns, some Charltons like Billy the Kid. And when I got old enough, when I started getting an allowance, I started buying comics of my own, and I would, but I bought like mainly Richie Rich, honestly, instead of going for the superhero comics. And now I don't really understand why, because I enjoyed the superhero comics because I liked the ones they had. So I don't really know why I started out on Richie Rich, but that's what they had on the spinner racks that were available to me, was a lot of Harvey. I remember seeing Charlton's, I remember seeing Harvey's, and of course there were some DC and superhero ones and stuff, and Marvel too. But there weren't any like Dells or Disney or Gold Keys or any of that kind of stuff. In order to get those, you had to buy the packs in the toy stores, And I just I've loved the comic art form ever since. I've been a fan of any form of comic art, whether it be comic strips, comic books, animation, whatever. I just love all of it.
Yeah, me too. I always joke. I've never met a comic book I didn't want to buy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether it's like Avengers 1 or Avengers 450.
Yeah.
It don't matter what the value was. I want it in my grubby hands.
Absolutely.
Okay. What are some of the things you love about comics? I think we just kind of went over a little bit of it, but expand on it if you can.
The part of I would say the ability to tell stories, and no other art form tells a story the way the comic art form does. It's words and art coming together. And you can kind of say movies do that, but it's a different animal,
Yeah.
It's I mean, somebody sits down and they draw these things, and they can be amazing. I mean, they can be crap, but they can also be amazing. So many just legends have worked in the industry that have created fantastic stuff, and in all of its forms. And I'm just fascinated by that. I enjoy it. I love it. I mean, I love reading too. I've read books for years and years and years. It's not like, oh, well, he just reads comic books like some people think. And as comic collectors, we all know this. But the people that don't read comics, they're like, oh, he reads comic books. And like we never picked up a real book or something. but they don't know what they're missing. They really don't. And I think it's fascinating to see a writer and an artist come together and create something so special. Um, when it works,
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
And think it before they put it out on the piece of paper, it all came out of their mind. They had to visualize. Like, a lot of the guys would get a script from Stan Lee, and well,
Hmm.
you can debate whether how much he wrote the script or not, but
Yeah, it was
that's
basically a plot. I think most of the time, once he got big
yeah.
enough.
But yeah, they laid out like the bare bones, like a fishbone of it outline, and then it's still the artist's responsibility to go in there and tell the story with his imagination. And like the thing is, like a lot of time, I mean, now we have CGI, but like especially when I was a kid, though, there was no way some of the stuff you read in Avengers or Batman was ever going to be seen on a big screen. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So you get to
Yeah.
see these things that you would never see, and you still can. And I think that's a great thing. It's people can trash reading comics all they want, but people have been drawing cave drawings uh, and telling stories on cave walls since cavemen could walk out of caves and upright.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's something new. There's always been picture story with pictures in it. And I mean, that does everybody thinks because they want to think of these old golden books, I guess, that we used to read when we were children. But
Hmm.
the fact of the matter is, there's some complex stories going on throughout comics. Even before I know they're probably more mature now than they have some. They're more mature than they ever was. But like even in the Silver Age, Marvel was touching on topics like race and gender even back then.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And even
So,
before that, like before comic books even existed, you had the comic strips of the time, uh, talking about what was going on, the Depression, the
yeah,
Prohibition. I mean, comics have always been timely, with editorial cartoons and besides just regular
yeah,
comic strip adventures and stuff. So,
and
I mean,
you go
during
back
World War
to
II, during the World War II, Mickey Mouse fought Nazis with a gun. I mean,
yeah.
it
And
was
the thing was, they make political statements even when, like, the guy, Timely Comics, when they published Captain America, they did not want Kirby and all, and his co-creator, his name escapes me right now for some reason. I can't believe that, even though I'm a Captain America fan. Joel Simon. Those two, they didn't want them to put a picture of him punching Hitler in the face on the cover because we weren't at war with the Germans yet. But
mhm,
they knew what he was doing, and Kirby, as a person that was of Jewish descent, he knew what was going on over there, so he wanted to speak out about it. So yeah,
right.
but I guess that's subjective. It's kind of like they say art. I guess reading is subjective too. But
Well, and part of the thing too is over the decades, basically, comics have gotten a bad rap, right? They're like, oh, comics are for kids. When have comics ever been for kids? In the 1930s, everybody read comic strips.
yeah, even if it
Everybody,
wasn't comics,
you know,
they read pulps.
yeah. And during wartime, the soldiers they read comic books. That's why everybody's after the Mark Jewelers, right? Because they had
Yeah,
inserts in there for the soldiers. It's that's why Sad Sack was so popular for years and years and years and
yeah,
years.
and Sergeant
And
Rock. Yeah,
and it to say they're for kids is kind of ignorant on people's parts,
it's
quite
kind of
honestly.
missing the point. It's kind of
Yeah.
like I don't know, but okay. So what are some of your favorite comic book series of all time?
Ooh. Um,
I told you I had some tough questions.
that's a hard choice. Yeah.
Well, just
Uh,
it don't have to be like a top five list or anything. Just
right. Yeah. 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 I mean, obviously, anything by the pretty much the biggest names, and for me, that's Carl Barks, Will Eisner. Um, I loved what Don Rosa did when he started doing the Uncle Scrooge stories in the 80s and 90s.
yeah,
But by picking up Carl Barks' legacy with the Duck characters, uh, the Mickey Mouse Floyd Gottfredson comic strips from the 30s and 40s are just fantastic. Um, and I know there's lots of stuff that's great that I haven't really taken the time to expose myself to, but I appreciate their art. When I do see them, like uh, I really want to go back to the old comic strips like Terry and the Pirates and Pogo with Walt Kelly. Graphic Man Michael just did a last week or so. He did a video where he was showing all the covers of Walt Disney's comics and stories for this huge run from like 100 to whatever, and he was showing all these Walt Kelly covers, and they were just fantastic. That was before he went and did Pogo as a comic strip, because Pogo actually started in comic books. But uh, more modern comic strips would be like Calvin and Hobbes. That's everybody's favorite comic strip of all time. Peanuts was always popular. I think to me as a kid, Peanuts was popular mostly because every school library you ever walked into had 50 paperbacks of Peanuts, right? So that's what we could find to read in the comic art form that they approved of, and but I appreciate that a lot more as an adult too. I understand some of the jokes and stuff now that I didn't understand when I was a kid.
There's always some.
There's that whole nother layer of humor to it that you didn't really appreciate that much.
Even Archie's and Mad Magazine did that too, even though mostly young people read it.
Yeah. Yep.
There'd be like a little adult joke, not like a dirty joke, but like something only an adult would really understand. You see that in Disney movies too, in Pixar.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And the I really appreciate a good adventure story, but with humor in it. So I like my favorite genre is probably the funny animals, but when they're doing adventure stories. That's why I like Carl Barks so much with what he did. But there's a lot of that stuff from that time period. If you read Bugs Bunny and stuff like that from that time period, it's a lot of it's the same way.
Yeah, all the Looney Tunes stuff too.
Yeah.
I mean,
yep.
And the Hanna-Barbera. I kind of grew up on the Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah.
Okay. Well. Okay. Here's an interesting question, and usually I get the same. I've got the same answer the last couple of times I've asked it, but we'll see how you answer it. Why did you decide that you wanted to start a YouTube channel about comic books?
Oh wow. Mainly for something to do, quite honestly, because as you know, I'm stuck home to take care of my mom a lot. So there's that. I don't have the ability to go out and really have much of a social life, or any social life at all, honestly. And I had YouTube grabbed my attention because at one point I was on here and I was watching a channel that did Disney videos where they just walk around the Magic Kingdom here in Florida.
Oh, I've seen those.
And but the reason I was watching them at that time, and I'd seen them before, just kind of looked at them a couple of times and just it's not that big a deal. But when they opened the Star Wars lands, I wanted to see what those were like. So I was like, oh, I bet you somebody's streaming all that, right? So I go on and I find them and I'm watching it. And, they're a big channel. They have a whole bunch of subscribers. But people started sending them money, right? As I'm watching. And I didn't know you could even do that. I didn't know that was a thing. And they're walking around and like, oh, thanks. Somebody sent $50. Oh, thank you. Somebody sent $100. Thank you. Somebody sent another $100. Thank you. $20, $10, $5, whatever it was. And it was just, so I started counting and they made $600 in an hour just walking around a Disney park. And I was like, I'm doing something wrong. My life has no meaning now,
Yeah. I was like, why did I saw videos like that. I'm like, why did I not start something in 2007?
Yeah, exactly.
Get on the ground floor.
And that was a couple of years that was a few years before I started my YouTube channel, but when I decided is that like, I thought, it would be fun to do something. And at the time, how YouTube it doesn't necessarily show you what you want to see. right?
That's
I
right.
mean, when I would put comic books in as looking as a search, it would show me the auction channels. It would show me Auction Comics, a couple of the other ones, and I couldn't find anything else. I thought that's all there was. I didn't know there was a whole bunch of channels where people show comic books and talk about their love of them and stuff. It wasn't showing me them, even though I was searching for those. And I was like, well, this is something I could do. There's got to be people out there that would enjoy that. And I thought I was going to be unique. I thought there wasn't anybody else doing it because I couldn't find them. But as soon as I got maybe my second or third video uploaded, then it started showing me all these channels. And I was like, oh, there's a whole bunch of people doing this.
Yeah.
But I was welcomed in, and it was fun, and my channel started growing pretty quickly. And I made the conscious decision of trying to get big. If I was gonna do it, I wanted to do it on a big scale, and I'm not on a
Yeah.
big scale. I'm working towards 700 subscribers. I'm over 600, but and yeah, so I made the decision I was gonna do. I saw how it worked. I did a lot of research before I did my first video, and saw that I could, like, you can put pre-recorded videos in there to drop when you want them to drop. So I didn't have to do it and drop something. I didn't have to do something every single day, but I can drop a video every day by just
Yeah.
scheduling. So, so I was like, if I want to get big, in order to compete, I got to get my name out there. In order to do that, I'm going to post a video every single day. So if nothing else, they're going to finally click on me just because they're sick of seeing me pop up and want to see what the heck I am. Right? So I did that, and follow a few other suggestions. I tried creating my thumbnails. Once I got around to deciding what my thumbnail should look like, I wanted it to look different each time, but still be consistent. So when you see it, it's me. If that makes sense, just as a branding perspective, that's me, and so I basically use the same pattern for everything I drop, and then just put a couple comic books up there that are in the video at some point.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun, and made a lot of friends on here that I wouldn't have otherwise, and I love it.
That's what's great to me about it was I just wanted to talk about comic books because everybody lives around me. I'm the only one. I don't have any friends around here that like comic books. I don't have any friends that read them or collect them or anything like that. They don't even watch the movies probably.
Right.
I'm sure they watch the movies, but that's probably as far as they know. I mean, and then it's kind of this world opened up to me where actually I started selling on Whatnot first.
Mm-hmm.
And you bought a bunch of old books from me for $1, and
oh my God,
I was going through my because I would just type in comic books, and so I saw Aaron's show one night, and well, let's see what these guys are talking about. Let's see if they got any cool comic books. And then I saw your name under you. It said Cheap Comic Collector. I said, that sounds familiar. So I typed in the chat, do I know this? Did I sell some comic books to you? And I gave you my username. I think I hadn't changed my channel name. I didn't really have a channel at that time. And then you said, yeah. And you got the box out, started showing comic books I sold you. I was like, hey, Mom, come here. They're showing the comic books I sold on Whatnot. So I thought I was, and see, I don't watch a lot of TV anymore. We kind of cut the cord around here. So a lot of these guys, like I was watching Lunch Money Comics and you and Comic Tom and people like that. And just big channels, small channels, middle channel, in between channels. And so it's kind of like I'm watching somebody, like I'm watching the Daily Show or something, or the,
mm-hmm.
the Today or something like that. Or like, Good Morning America, because I watch it every day.
That was cool for me too, because that hadn't happened before. That was like, oh, somebody in chat actually knows me because I bought comics from them. I got to go grab their box, because that's not what I was going to show that day. But I was like, screw what I was going to show that day. I went and got your comics. So.
Yeah. And that was like, then I said, I think I said something. I just threw it out there. I was like, I guess just tested everybody. I said, well, maybe I got some stuff I can show you one of these days. So then I got to know you guys on Instagram and everything, and and I kept putting it off. I was just like, well, I need to learn more about editing, but I saw everybody do it. And I said, well, I really don't need to know that right now. I can wing
I
it,
don't. I don't.
you know,
I don't.
fake it. Yeah,
The
fake it till you
only
make it,
thing.
right?
Yep. The only thing I've learned how to edit is to like put two videos together and like snip a piece out if I'm in the right program. That's about all I can do. That's all I know how to do.
Yeah.
Everything else is on the fly as I'm recording.
Well, that's why I do that where I read at the first of it, because I can just do a cold opening like that. And then I've got these videos though. I think I've kind of figured it out, but so I'm going to get StreamYard the main service, because they're having a Black Friday sale till the next 5 days. So if you subscribe, you get it for $25 a month, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
And,
When I unsubscribed, they offered me 40% off.
Yeah.
But I had already subscribed to EV Mux, and
You're already out the door.
with the subscription, there's so much more you can do on here.
Yeah. The other one's just easier to use. I'm still going to use this.
The other one is easier to use. This has got a couple major drawbacks with the chat not being able to, like I can't interact with chat right now. I'd love to, but I can't. Right, I can't.
Yeah.
And as you know, when you're hosting, all you have is that little dinky thing where you can see like two chats at a time. So
yeah, I know.
So what I do on my claim sales, and I saw a video about this, and there is a widget or something in there where you can put the chat on the screen.
Yeah, I've seen that on other streamers.
That doesn't work that great either.
No.
I tried it and I was like, this isn't going to work. So what I do is, for my claim sale on Saturday, is I pull up YouTube just on a whole nother window, and then I shrink this window enough so that I can see the chat.
Oh, okay.
And so the only time that doesn't really work is if I have to click on chat to roll backwards, then that becomes the forefront and this goes behind it. So it's a little awkward because all of a sudden you can't see what you're doing on the screen. But then you just click on the other one and it comes back up and you continue on. So it's I've only done that twice so far, so it's taking a little getting used to, but it's doable. And for all the other stuff I get to do with it, it's a nice trade-off.
It's fun, and I regret that I missed this, what I was going to do before. I guess I forgot when I got excited at the video you made for me. I was going to do this I think I was going to act like I was reading and then talking to the audience, and I was going to do this. Oh, somebody at the door. And I go, it's a cheap comic collector, and I forgot to do it. I regret it now.
I could have came in and said, hey, man, I got a present for you.
It would be kind of cool. I want to do I wish I had the equipment and the time to come up with like some Pee-wee's Playhouse type thing where you come and go, the day's word is Batman. Every time I say the word Batman, we scream.
You could do stuff like that on EV Mux.
Yeah.
There's with the paid version, you can load any sound clip, any video, any picture. You can create slideshows. You can work them all into your scene. It's doing without knowing anything, without having to learn how to do stuff, any complicated stuff. You can pretty much do whatever you want. So I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Okay, well, I think you already answered the next question. We kind of talked about what's your favorite thing about YouTube, so we'll skip that. And we kind of covered this one a little bit, but we'll expound on it a little bit more. Name me just a few of your favorite artists and writers and why.
Writers, Carl Barks, Will Eisner. And they don't necessarily hit the favorite artists list.
Well, that's okay.
But as writers, they're top notch, and their art's fantastic too. But favorite artists would be George Perez. Definitely.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, Gene Colan, Mike Grell, Neil Adams. Same, pretty much the same people everybody else has
Yeah.
from that era. Jim Steranko.
Oh,
Uh,
he's phenomenal.
yeah. Um, it's like I don't know art, but I know what I like.
Exactly. It's exactly like I'm like that with like Joe Kubert and guys like that. Like I grew up reading like Sergeant Rock. So
Yeah, and I never really had that much of an appreciation for Joe Kubert until I started doing this, because now that I
yeah,
have all these comic books coming through, because I've always been more about the writing. You know,
yeah.
as long
I
as
used to be like
as
that
long
too.
as
I
the
was about
art is adequate and not just like a 6-year-old did it,
yeah,
then I'm good if it's a good story. You know.
yeah,
Um. So to me, the writing comes first, but at the same time, I mean, George Perez just, I mean, his work on like Crisis on Infinite Earths and stuff. And I know some people have
yeah.
picked it apart, but it's just phenomenal. I'm sorry.
Wonder
If you're
Woman.
drawing that many pages on that many characters with that kind of a story, that's, you know,
And he did that work on the Avengers, both runs, Volume 1 and Volume 2.
yeah,
And the one we did with Busick was just amazing. And then like actually, I think I sold you one a long ago. It was Avengers 144. It's a Gil Kane cover. It's the first appearance of Hellcat, but the inside of it's George Perez, and it's just remarkable.
yeah. That
You know.
that full page pinup of Hellcat like standing on those boxes is just.
Oh yeah.
I was just like blown away when I opened that. I was like, oh my god, this is cool. So
And like, well, I mean, you should have. See, you mentioned the George Perez word, so now it's gonna stall out the whole interview now.
yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Well, I
I just
like
want
I like John Byrne too, and I like
to.
and Jack Kirby for a certain
But
period.
it doesn't get
Um,
much better than that. See, that's George Perez.
yeah, that's awesome.
It's just I like, and the one thing I watched a documentary. I'm going to send you a link to it later, Rob, because I think you'd enjoy it. It's a documentary about the Avengers, but it's got a lot of Perez in it, and he talks about how a lot of people didn't want to do those team books because you have to draw so many different characters. It's a pain in the ass. They don't like it. They didn't like it. Like a lot of the guys that had been there a while in the bullpen
A lot
didn't
of
want
work.
to do it. And
Yeah,
he said, I'll do it. He volunteered to do it. He said, I want to do
yeah.
that.
I mean,
And he would do these elaborate scenes. Yeah.
it's got to be 10 times the work it is to just draw a Superman. If you're
Yeah. Then you got to
and
draw like,
then they started doing the ridiculous team up books where you had to basically draw every character ever created for DC
yeah.
Comics and do the research and know how they're supposed to look.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I like too about that distinguishes an artist for me is if when they're drawing characters, and George Perez is phenomenal at this, is if the characters look different. Because some people will like if they're drawing a guy, they'll all kind of look the same. If they're drawing a girl, they'll all kind of look the same. George Perez doesn't do that. Every single character he creates or works on
That's right.
is a distinct looking. It's that person. You know,
A
it's
good
it's just
example is Scarlet Witch and Wonder Man. When he
yeah,
draws, I know when he's drawing Scarlet Witch.
yeah, yeah,
And she's
and
not going
and
to look like
yeah,
Tigra.
and
She's not going to look like
exactly,
Tigra or anybody
and
else.
like I mean when he did Justice League with Wonder Woman and Black Canary and so I mean most artists if they're drawing a female form, it's pretty much the same, right? And Wonder Woman and Black Canary look the same. They just got different hairstyles and different costumes.
So that's what Nathan Zerdy does. Like guys like
Right.
that every girl
But
looks the
George
same.
Perez doesn't do that. They have different body types. They have different, they're different heights. They're different whatever, and it's just it makes it so much more real to a certain extent while you're reading it. You don't realize it. Your perception isn't. Yeah, you don't perceptively go, oh, they all look different. I mean, I do a little bit because I realize that that's what he did, but
Yeah.
most people they just read it and they go this is phenomenal, but they don't know why. They don't they're just like they just know it's good. But it gives it that little bit more level of realism if everybody looks like their own individual character.
Oh yeah. Especially comes into play when you have multiple characters in the same comic. That
Yeah,
you have to, they got to look a little different. It's like,
right.
and all artists know that you can't have everybody look the same. And that's a testament to what a great artist he was.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
not on that, but he was a pretty good human being too, from what I've read.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. From what I understand, yes. But the local one of my local clam shacks, comic shops, uh, the owners were married by George Perez in the shop.
oh wow, that's hey, that's something you can tell your kids. I guess maybe
Yeah,
your kids were like, "Who's
yeah,
George Perez?"
yeah. That's cool. It's that was cool.
Well, what's funny? The last you and my last guest, um, we all three have something in common. We love George Perez. Clip on Comics loves uh, George Perez as much as we do. I mean, maybe even more. I don't know, but I was like, see, that's what I mean by this finding common ground. Like maybe me and you might not like Frank Miller's writing. Maybe me and you both don't like Jenny Frison or Peach Momoko, but then we'll find out. Hey, we both like George Perez, right?
Right. Yeah.
So there you go. Um, okay, so this kind of piggybacks a little bit off well, not really, but and this is going to be a tough one. Well, it's not that tough for me. I mean, but I have so many favorite characters. But could you just name me what are some of your favorite comic book characters?
Um.
There's no wrong answer.
There's I mean, I don't feel there's any bad characters. There's bad writing. Um, Alan Moore proved that with Swamp Thing, right? Because nobody cared about Swamp Thing until Alan Moore started writing
That's right.
in the 80s. And but my favorites as characters, I mean, it'd be Donald Duck, Uncle Scrooge. Superhero characters would probably be. I always had a fondness for archers for some reason. I liked Hawkeye. I liked Green Arrow.
Me too.
I don't know why, but when I was a kid, I that's who I wanted to play as.
I think it's something about the bow and arrow. We want to shoot
Yeah,
one.
basically, yeah. And I was always driven more towards characters with real abilities, like okay, archery. People do archery. You know,
Yeah.
Batman. He doesn't have any superpowers. The non-super powered characters always seemed a little bit more real to me. I think as a kid.
Yeah.
So I gravitated towards them rather than towards like Superman or Captain Marvel or things like that.
What I always liked about Green Arrow and Hawkeye is they're both kind of swashbuckler characters, like Errol Flynn. They're kind of like an Errol Flynn type character. You know what I mean? And
Excuse me. Yeah.
me and my dad used to watch old Errol Flynn movies where he'd like be swinging from the chandelier, and be sword fight with people. Like Captain Kidd or Captain Blood, I think was the name of it.
Yeah.
And
saw a lot of that in Zorro. That kind of stuff, so yeah, those are kind of characters. They're their lineages from that, and let's see who else. Scooby Doo.
Yeah, I
love the Scooby Doo cartoon. When I was growing up, I hated Scrappy Doo. And I love Scooby Dum. Are you familiar with Scooby Dum?
Yeah. His cousin, I think it's his cousin, right?
I always thought it was just the most hilarious thing. Dum dum dum.
Yeah, I remember he come visit him or something, and like, oh no, Scooby Dum, don't.
I thought that was hilarious when I was a kid.
You know what? And a lot of people didn't like him, but I even like Scrappy Doo.
Yeah, I did not like Scrappy Doo.
I know, I kind of like him.
I think I could have liked him, but when he came around, the focus went to him instead of it being on Scooby Doo.
Yeah.
He wasn't just a supporting character. He kind of took over the show.
Yeah.
And, but.
I always like when we go, put them up.
But, yeah. But the people, that's their era, they love him, because it was still Scooby Doo. It was still a cool show.
Actually, I know somebody's got a Scrappy Doo tattoo on their leg. I don't know if I would have went that far, but whatever.
Funny.
All right. What comic book is your most prized comic book in your collection, Like what like if you were to die tomorrow, what comic book would you want to be buried with you?
Well, none of them, honestly, because that would just be ridiculous. But
Yeah, I know.
um, geez. Usually for me, the older the comics, the better. So even though I may not like as much an older comic, I appreciate it for what it is, from whether it be if it's from the 30s or 40s or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, I I mean, that was the beginning of the comics. I really enjoy looking at the history of comics and how they evolve. That's why I sort my collection the way I do by year. Um, because at some point I want to start, like, maybe creating an index or something chronologically. Um, and it's so for me, the older the better. Um, but at the same time, I have favorites from all eras, including the modern one. I mean, people are that that I kind of have a reputation for not liking modern comics, but that's not really true. Um, I just don't like as many of the modern comics as I do the older stuff.
Well, I know because you do read some new ones. You just don't read as many as other people do.
Yeah, and I
But,
usually read them online because I'm just not willing to pay the
yeah.
price.
Well, I'm slowing down a lot too because there's a lot of old Bronze Age comic books I want a lot more. And
And
then
you can get them. They don't. That's what's
when
the
you read
thing
these
is.
new ones, you file them away, and unless you've got some 1 in 100 ratio variant, and there's no guarantee that's going to stay. The value is going to stay up on it.
I got two in one of my buys last week. I got in 2 Hulk books. One is a retailer variant that's a virgin cover. It's limited to 1,000 copies. It's supposed to be worth like $30 or something, around $30 according to the price guide. I got it in. I got it for less than $1. I don't know what exactly which price point at this time, at this exact time that I got it in, because it came out of my books in the other room where I have like 3 different sources all mixed together in different boxes, and I no longer know
all that.
what price I paid for them.
My problem with all the ratio stuff is like you'll see comic books, a pre-sale for a comic book going at $100.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
look, I'm like, look, it's not even come out yet. I don't think we can say this is $100 book just yet.
No.
I mean, I understand it's like a rarity or whatever, but
yeah, and based on the cover and the artist and what so forth, but
yeah, well, it would have to be signed by like Frank Miller, Chris Claremont, George Perez, and like 10 other people for me to like want to pay that much for it.
Well, I mean, it's like Peach Momoko. They're fighting over her work at Comic-Con.
Oh yeah, and she had to hide under a table once.
And I mean, I just had 2 Peach Momokos in the sale last week. That I got for $1 or under.
Yeah.
And
well, it just depends on the rarity and all that stuff. And
yeah, well, I mean, the point is when those came out, they were probably super hot. People were probably selling them for $20, $30, $40, $50, right?
Like that. Yeah, definitely more than
you
$1.
wait a year, you get them for $1. I mean, it's crazy.
That's what I just do that because. But okay, well, if anybody in the audience, we can take a few questions. We got some time. Just let me know, and I'll try to think of another question. Well, while we're waiting on somebody to ask a question, tell us what you've got coming up on your channel. Because I heard you talk a little bit on Metarog's channel about this Christmas show, and I'm going to make a video for this, but I want you to tell everybody in the chat that may not have heard this earlier.
All right. Well, we're working on. I'm producing a new show. It's called Pop Culture Power Hour. And our pilot episode is going to be a Christmas special. It won't be a weekly show. It'll at the most, will be a monthly. But basically we're just going to get the first show under our belts. We'll start working on the second show. Whenever it's done, it's done. It's not, we all have lives. We all have lots of things we've got going on. So we're trying, but, the first one is going to be a Christmas special. or if we don't get it in time, it will be an after Christmas special. But it's gonna have myself, Swagda, Pizza Rat, Beck Neptune, Crazy Hungarian, and Easy Comic Reader on the show, along with a few surprises. But one of the things we want to do is, and yeah, I was in a meeting with these guys until 4 o'clock last night. So if I fall asleep, that's why. Um, the one of the things we want to do is a montage of as many channels, as many community members as we can, singing "We Wish You a Merry Christmas." Simple as that. Just old time schmaltz. But yeah, one thing that I've seen over the last couple of years of doing a channel is people love it when you unexpectedly pop up on somebody else's show. Right?
Oh yeah.
It's not advertised. It's just like, oh my God, Rob's there, or Swag is there, or Matt's there, or and so it's don't think of it as like, oh my God, I don't want to do that. Think of it as how much your viewers are going to like seeing you do it. And I hope to get as many community channel members to do that as I can. I need the video footage sooner rather than later so we can start putting the show together.
And editing.
And to do that, it could be a little difficult because, as Matt and I were just talking before the show, for some reason, emails no longer want to send large files. It's difficult. But if you have a channel, what you can do is either make it as part of your video and email me, let me know where it is, because I can grab anything off of YouTube with StreamYard or EVMux. You can record anything off the internet. And so I can grab that portion of what you do. Or if you don't want to do it as part of a show, you can make it a private video and send me the link, and I can just go grab it.
Well, you could also record it on a phone maybe and send it to you on Instagram.
I'm not sure. I'm not familiar enough with Instagram on how to do that. I am on Instagram if anybody wants to do that. But when I was looking at it, I could not figure out a way to do it. But that's me because I can't use Instagram. I get a little flack because people follow me on Instagram and I don't follow them back. And it's because I've never asked anybody to follow me on Instagram. I'm the only reason I'm on there basically is to interact with the other creators in the YouTube community, because sometimes that's how we notify each other of when our show's going to drop, or if we want to be a guest on somebody's show or whatever. So I know how to basically write a message in a group and read a group. But like when I first started on Instagram, I was going to use it to promote my channel. And I posted a few things, but I didn't do it right. And I was the only one that could see them. And I didn't even know that for like a month.
I've done that before on Facebook and Instagram. And I was like, I did it for like a month straight, Robert. And I was like, nobody's liked a video I have posted or any post I've made in like the last month
because they can't see them.
Yeah. Is everybody pissed off at me or something? Did I insult somebody? I was looking back to see, are any of these like, and they were just like funny jokes. So I was like, oh, wait a minute. I had it all private.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's just not very user friendly. But Beck Neptune and Pizza Rat have started Discord. And they're inviting you to join. I see in chat. It's called YT Friends. And anybody can basically jump on there. I've used Discord a little bit for a couple other groups, and I was totally confused. Pizza Rat helped me understand a little bit more of how Discord works. We were on it the other night, and he was showing me a couple things. So I've been able to like send Higgy Pop the song I wrote for him, or the song. I didn't write it. I created it with AI, but
you still created it though. You still created
whatever. It's there's not much creativity to it. You have an idea and you plug some words in there, and then that makes the entire song. So
what did you make that video? What do you do? Where do you make those at?
There's a website. What's it called? Let me look it up.
Is it Magic Studio? Is that what it's called?
No, it's just like songgenerator.so or something like that.
Okay.
You put song generator in it, you'll find it.
I don't need one now. You did all the legwork for me. I got a cool one already. I just edited it a little shorter, maybe. But
Yeah. Yep.
And what's else? Has anybody got any questions in the chat right now? Please let me know, and I will get on Discord. I've been putting it off. I have a Discord account. I didn't really know anybody on there, so I didn't fool with it. So I mean, I don't really know much about it. I've been on there.
If you go on YT Friends, I can send you the music part of the video. Just send it directly to you, and you won't even have to worry about trying to grab it off of here or anything.
Well, I like the video though, so send it to me on Discord when I get on there. When I join the group,
yeah.
It's called.
I saw that I forgot to trim like the watermarks out of the pictures, so that kind of pissed me off.
Well, we got a question, and if Missing Mars is going to ask a question, it's about the claim sale.
Okay.
So, claim sale this week? Question mark.
Of course.
He does one every week. If he did not do a claim sale every week, I would have to go drive to Florida and check on the man.
There's been a couple times where I'm just like, oh man.
Yeah.
But it's like I have so much fun doing it, even when and even coming on shows like this. Sometimes you're just like there's stuff going on. You're tired. You just you're not feeling it. You don't just like. But this coming on these shows and talking about comics it makes you feel good. It's the best medicine I can think of for me when I'm feeling.
We got a question from our friend Swagda. He wants to know, how many books do you have in your collection, Rob?
Swag, you know better than to ask something like that. I don't know. I don't know. I can count boxes. Hold on a second.
Here, hold on while we count every box. Hold on.
In my personal collection, I will be back in a second. I'll tell you how many short boxes there are.
Okay. Well, there you go. And also, Missy Mars wants to know if he owes you money. I don't know. We'll see. We'll ask him. You don't owe me any money. I know that. So.
All right. There's 94 short boxes in my personal collection, not counting like the stuff that's for sale in one way or the other.
Yeah.
So however many books that is, that's what it is.
And Missy Mars has another follow-up question to the claim sale one, I think. Does he owe you any money?
I
would say that's not the time for that question, but it's okay. I love you, buddy. We got plenty of time, so it doesn't matter. It's not like we only got like 30 minutes, I know I owe him money. I owe him money right now. So.
It's only $14, so.
There you go, buddy.
So claim more books.
Yeah, buy some more stuff, man. We need to make that money. And I say, you know what I say? Sell comics instead of selling drugs, children. So remember that. The more you know, the better you'll be off. So don't nobody sell drugs. I mean, no.
Now, I also dropped a music video today just before I went on Metarog's show a little bit. It's a comedy song called "Won't You Buy My Funko Pops." So that's on my channel too.
I rolled on the floor laughing.
Good. So
I got so many Funko Pops, they're going to call the cops or something. It says.
Yeah. And I was debating whether to post it or not, or save it for a future show. And I was like, this would be a good way to just kind of get the word out there that we're going to do this new show and stuff. So there's a little banner on the scrolling banner, advertising the show so that people know it's a comedy, That way, hopefully nobody actually takes me seriously and contacts me and asks me if I want to sell my Funko Pops or not. But,
yeah, I know. I thought for a minute before I saw the video that did he get a bunch of Funko Pops now or something he's going to be selling? So I didn't know, but let's show them a little bit of your handiwork with this AI video. This is a video, and we'll be right back after this special presentation. But just to get you an idea of how cool this app he's been using to make these videos is with AI. He has an AI thing to make music and the pictures. And let me add it to the screen.
Every issue something new.
We'll start it over.
Golden age or modern finds, entertaining minds.
start it over. All right.
Flip the pages, feel the thrill. Matt's the host, he's got the skill. Heroes for Hire's the name. Comic joy's our only aim. Weekly mail call can't be beat. Comic reviews, extra sweet. Tune in, folks, and don't be late. Interviews that sure are great. From Kentucky's rolling hills we stream. Matt delivers every fan's dream. Claim your favorites, join the quest. Heroes for Hire are the best. Superheroes, villains too. Every issue something new. Golden Age or modern finds, entertaining minds of all kinds. Comic book sales you can claim. Join the club, win comic fame. Hear the stories, catch the vibe. Heroes for Hire feels alive. From Kentucky's rolling hills we stream. Matt delivers every fan's dream. Claim your favorites, join the quest. Heroes for Hire are the best. Superheroes, villains too. Every issue, something new. Golden Age or modern finds, entertaining minds of all kinds. Comic book sales you can claim.
All right. That was awesome. I was just playing the air guitar while we were doing it, man. You know what I mean? I get that 80s. I thought I was going to start playing Sister Christian or something by Night Ranger. That was pretty awesome. And all right, if there's any more questions, let me know. If not, we're going to wrap up. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Until next time, he's a guest next year sometime. But I'll make it a quick announcement while we're waiting for another question from the chat. You can state I have these shows every week. The Comics Conversation, episode 4 will be next week. I think I'm getting ready to set it up. I think it'll be Tuesday at 8:30. 8 or 8:30 p.m. Eastern. I don't know just yet. I'm working around the schedule, but my guest will be Mark from Legion of Comics. So, check into that. And I got some potential guests in the works. Comic Tropes even contacted me. He said if I could work around his schedule, he would be happy to do it. And we have DJ Links coming up, and Rob's Fat Stack of Comics, the Comic Vet, and many more. If I left anybody out, I'm sorry. Oh, my friends from Australia, Mad Spidey and Aussieverse will be on too. So we're going to have an international. This show is going to be going international, and so I'm happy to have that. And Rob, again, thank you for being on the show today. You got any comic books you want to show? We still got a little time.
Well, I do have some I got in yesterday that I can show if you want to.
Okay, I got a couple I can show in a minute. So just if I can get this, there you go.
Got the Richie Rich and Casper that I was reading when he came out, and I really am in the middle of reading this one. But I love the monsters on this cover for a Harvey book. Is just like, wow, those are
scary.
Those are pretty demonic looking, and they actually call them demons in the book. So that was interesting. And I got weird Western Tales number 65.
Oh yeah, Scalp Hunter.
And number 61.
Cool.
And number 57.
All right.
And this one's got a note on it, so there was some kind of damage on this
Hold on, I
one.
gotta
Oh,
get you back.
somebody stuck extra staples on this one, but this is number 56.
Cool. I love the art on those old.
And this one is number 50. They hid the number.
They always hide the number on some of those. I don't know why.
And I got all new Exiles Infinity. I think that was the giveaway that day.
Oh, okay. Well, I like the cover of Juggernaut, that picture of Juggernaut.
Yeah, it's cool. Western Gunfighters 29. Gil Kane. And Kid Colt 199.
Oh, cool.
And 202.
Here, we'll switch it to double. That way, we got the whole screen to show it.
There we go. And 209. 214.
I like these Kid Colt. I've read a couple of these.
Yeah, the Marvel Westerns were a lot of fun because they basically wrote them just like they were writing like a superhero story, except it's a Western. And it just gives it a unique kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
Got some Conans, 220.
Oh, yeah. I love Conan. I got some Conans here somewhere. I always have at least a couple of Conan the Barbarian comics.
218. 217.
Missy Mars said that they couldn't make Scalp Hunter today. You're probably right about that.
216.
Although there's probably some indie labels that don't care. They would have probably done it.
Yeah. 180. And it looks like there's some ROM. So, oh, these were the books that I was getting. The guy on Whatnot was selling. When I first found him, he was selling 5 for $1, which was ridiculous for what he had. And then he went, at some point, he went 5 for $5. So they were still only dollar books, but, you know, it was just crazy. ROM number 40. I like that cover. That's pretty cool with the Pied Piper on there.
I always liked Space. I always wanted that toy,
Me
but
too.
I couldn't afford it. So
Yeah, I never got those kind of cool toys. I got, although I take that back. I had a Starbird. If you guys know what that is, it's basically an electronic spaceship. But it had this cool thing where if you tilted it down or if you tilted it up, it changed the tone, like it was the engine sound would change that it made. When you were playing with it and flying it around, it was actually sound like it was climbing or diving or whatever. It was pretty cool. Number 69, ROM.
there's actually a couple of important appearances in those books.
Well,
The
this
third-
one
The
is
fourth appearance of Roger is in ROM.
Not sure what's going on here. This one has a note on it. It says cover art and story by Neil Adams, but that cover is obviously not Neil Adams because it's signed by P. Craig Russell. But so I don't know if the sticky note got on the wrong book or what. But
You might have got on the wrong book because I don't
Yeah.
think Neil Adams was ever associated with ROM.
not that I'm aware of. No.
I don't know that he was associated with Marvel at that time period anyway. It was DC.
22. And then I got the 4 Star Blast series in here as well.
Okay.
There's number 1. 2. And these are done. These look like fun. I ignored these for a long time, and then I finally opened one up. It's like, oh, these look cool. Number 3 and number 4.
Oh, cool.
So, and oh, this is fun too. I got a bunch more Conans, but they're kind of the same. He had the 6-issue series of Star Trek and the Legion of Superheroes, which is an interesting
I've
concept.
never even heard of that. That sounds cool.
I'd heard of it, but I hadn't, it was like just one of those things that wasn't on my radar really. But he had the whole set, so I was like, yeah, for $1 an issue? Okay, yeah. And I know in one of them, because I was flipping through them a little bit, Captain Kirk hits on Shadowlass, and she's like, "No."
I don't think so. I thought he could. I thought he could seduce any alien woman, but I guess not her, huh?
Yeah. So those look like they could be fun. I'm not
I
a
got a
huge Star
couple.
Trek fan, but I do like Legion. So
I found a
uh,
couple cool ones today.
what you got? Oh, that's sweet.
It's the Mark Brooks facsimile, I think.
Yeah, I tried doing a picture of Captain America punching Adolf Hitler in AI, and it wouldn't do it. That's
That's a
cool
fact.
too. Yeah.
Of course, everybody. I'm gonna feel like covering it up, and be like, "Look, I
Yeah,
got the
cover
real
up
comic. Look,
699.
I got the real comic. I'm rich. Look at me. I'm super successful." And then I got this is number 3 of that one. I only
Oh,
got
that's cool.
this is the first time they say Avengers Assemble. It's 80.
Nice.
Is it 80, 82? Yeah, with Daredevil on the cover. And I got the annual team up. Whoa, number 3 annual. It doesn't get much better than Hulk, Iron Fist, and Power Man. And then
Yeah.
after I get the one from you, I'll need is a Wolverine, and I'll have all these. So
Cool.
that's all I got. I just want to show. I don't know. I get excited. I know it's supposed to be more about interviewing you, but I couldn't help it. I wanted to show a couple of those.
Yeah,
I
we
got
gotta
this
throw
one.
some comics in there.
Okay, I got this one for free.
Oh, nice.
So I can't wait to read it. I've never read the actual comic. So, well, guys,
I actually too. I found. What did I do with it? I found a sketch cover today, and I was gonna keep it, because I want when your mom gets around to doing sketches, I want her to do something for me.
okay.
On here. It's Amazing Spider-Man #1 full circle, but it's the sketch cover.
Okay.
So
Well, when she gets, she's got a lot of painting to do with these ornaments she paints right now. But
yeah. I just figured I was like,
I'll-
there's a sketch cover. I can put it aside and save it for when that happens. So.
I got a great idea for one. I got one perfect for this too. You know that mini series they had a few months ago called Amazing Spider-Man: Shadow of the Green Goblin, and they have it's got a green blank variant, sketch variant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have her put Gwen Stacy on it. It's going to be an homage to House of Secrets '92, and she'll be the one standing at the dresser. It'll be Gwen Stacy instead of the blonde in the House of Secrets, and instead of Swamp Thing behind her, it'll be the Green Goblin.
Okay. Yeah, that would be cool.
So that would be kind of cool, I think.
Yeah,
kind of as a takeoff on that, And then I got some more. The other one I want to do is I got to get a blank Justice League variant. And I wanted to put Crypto and all the super pets on it playing poker like dogs. Like the dogs playing poker paintings. I thought that would be a brilliant one too.
I tried with AI. I tried doing some Avengers poker nights, right, with Wolverine, Hulk, and like Captain America or whoever. It does those 3 characters pretty well, but when you put them together, sometimes it just mixes up the elements, and it's like, what is this?
I was messing with. I was playing with some AI today.
I did make a couple of them that are kind of cool, but it wasn't quite what I wanted it to do.
I was playing on some AI with that Match Studio today, and I did a couple of Wolverines. I was like trying to Wolverine in the style of Norman Rockwell, and it made a couple of them had the blades come out of his forearms.
Yeah,
or they only had 2 blades instead of 1, or they were like little bitty blades,
right?
Like little pocket knife blades or something. And then I did one of Captain America smoking a cigar, and the cigar was stuck under the cleft of his chin instead of in his mouth. So AI is not all the way there. So I'm not worried about it taking over the world. And
no, it's way away from that. Yeah, I mean it'll still give you 3 legs and some picture where the character
I see legs coming out of the biceps too. It's crazy, like something out of the movie The Thing or something.
Right.
And, kind of disturbing. Some of it's kind of disturbing the way they draw it. Like if you have like a kid and you're going to have like Wonder Woman talking to a kid on the playground or something, and then the kid will look like the seat of the devil or something. Or something weird. It'll be real creepy. The eyes will be just off.
Yeah, it's real hit or miss. Sometimes it gives you something just absolutely amazing right off the bat, and then other times it's just like, and you're like, you try to tweak it a few times, and you're just burning through the free credits they give you because it's like it's just not
Yeah.
doing what you want it to do. I tried doing Wolverine, like I think it was like Wolverine in the snow in front of a Christmas tree, right?
Yeah.
It gave me like a real Wolverine, like an
Oh,
animal Wolverine as a funny animal type, cuddly toy looking toy, but he had some kind of a superhero costume on. But he did have the claws.
okay. Well, at least he had the claws, right?
It's a cool picture. It's just not, and I kept it because it's okay. That's a cool picture, but it's, it's just funny. Like, some characters it knows like Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, Deadpool, Spider-Man. It
Yeah.
knows all the movie characters really well.
And sometimes it'll give you like the movie version every time because it finds that more than it does it. Like if you actually put
Yeah,
Magneto on it,
'cause
it's going to
drawn
look
from
like Ian McKellen. Yeah, it's going
Yeah.
to look like Ian
And the
McKellen.
song, the interesting thing too is the songs will draw from the internet as well. Because one of the songs I made, and nobody's seen it or heard it yet, is for Graphic Man, and the song says his show is on Wednesdays. And I did not tell it that. I had to look up on the internet to make sure. It's like, is it really on Wednesdays? Because otherwise, I was going to have to like trash the whole song. And I was like, oh dang, it is on Wednesdays, right?
That is scary good right there, though. That's scary good.
So, yeah, it's fascinating. It's fun to play with, and if you think about it too much, it'll scare the hell out of you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Um,
And well, the scary thing is this: like the programs that we can use as the general public may not always be there, but some of the stuff that these professionals can use
yeah,
is scary.
yeah, yeah.
You could
I mean,
just make
this,
something.
I
You could
mean,
have like
yeah, if we're, I mean, it's given me some pictures that are like, that's a photo. That's not a, I mean,
yeah,
that looks like a photo. I had it do Stan Lee reading a comic book, and it looks like a photo of Stan Lee reading a comic book. It does not look like a picture.
if
That
you
was
had the
drawn.
technology, you could do it. You could do a video that looked like Joe Biden was doing drugs in the White House.
Yeah, exactly.
Or whoever was the president.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And like you said, we have, if we can do this, just messing around, what can it do with an actual professional version
Yeah,
where they can do whatever they want to do, right?
exactly.
So,
Well, Rob, it's been a good conversation. We'll talk more backstage if you want, but I like to keep this show about an hour, 15 minutes, So we're going to end it there. Let me just do my little talk to everybody for a minute. Okay, so everybody, please like and subscribe to this video and to me if you like what I do. Please like and subscribe to Rob, the Cheap Comic Collector. And if you're not subscribed to the people in the chat, do that now. I will not have a claim sale probably this week. If I do, it'll be Sunday sometime, but don't quote me on that because I'm not sure yet. So, but I do. I always stay tuned for my unboxing videos. I have some comic reviews that will be coming up soon, and I also, we do this show it's either on Tuesday or Wednesday every week at 8 or 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Comic Conversations. You can check in next week. My guest will be Mark from Legion of Comics. He's a good dude, so please come check that out. I got some other great guests upcoming. And Sunday, we do the Heroes for Hire Comic Club Sunday Super Show Extravaganza, where we talk about previews for the upcoming new comic books of the week and the trending top 20. And also this week, we will be talking about the new HBO Max DC Comics series, animated series, Creature Commandos. So please stay tuned for that. We'll be watching a preview of that. We'll be commenting on this stuff. We'll even do some other stuff. We'll take the questions from the audience if we have time. I don't know. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun. It's going to be an extravaganza. That's why I call it an extravaganza. I used to do Whatnot shows, and I call it my dollar bin extravaganza. But now we have that on here because I don't really do that anymore on Whatnot. But I really appreciate everybody that came out to watch it live. and all the people that will watch it on the replay. But until next time, true believers, Excelsior.